Hi guys, recently I've received a couple of questions about full defense hunting. And it's something that's been a bit of a popular topic recently. I know there's a 2K EK streamer hunting Soul War with full def, so it's something that people have been commenting about and asking me about whether I would suggest to use full def or whether full attack is still the way to go. So I figured I would look into the numbers, do a couple of tests and see what I come up with. So this is what this video is going to be about, and I hope you find it interesting. So first of all, let's take a quick look into what the video will contain. First of all, I will dive into why comparing full defense versus full attack is very difficult. And like many things in Tibia, there are just so many factors affecting attack, defense, damage, etc. that it's not going to be a simple yes or no. I can tell you that straight away. It will depend on so many factors that it's impossible to say. Nevertheless, with enough testing and with enough results, we can make a relatively reliable conclusion. Then I will show you some results of full defense versus full attack while not using spells. So basically this has been done before. This is just standing there on some monsters using your attack and just taking damage and comparing the results. I will then share my results when I actually hunted. So I hunted for 10 minutes in a spot that's that I'm very comfortable with, which was Lower Rashamo, and on one of them I used full defense, and in one of them I used full attack. So we'll be able to look at those results. Bear in mind this is solo hunt only, and the results will be different for team hunt. And at the end, I will summarize and conclude what I think about full def versus full attack in solo hunting and in team hunting. So if you just want to get the conclusion, you can skip to the last 2 minutes or so. Okay, so first of all, why comparing full def versus full attack is very difficult. So Tibia damage formulae are very complicated with loads and loads of factors. So I have just prepared a list here that I've come up with really quickly, and there are just so many factors that affect, whether it's going to be better to use full def or full attack. And this list here, if you take a look at it, is just for solo hunting. If you're team hunting, there's even more factors. Is your sorcerer using ultimate healing runes on you? What's the magic level of your druid? Crazy stuff like that. There's just hundreds of factors that ultimately affect your results. So in summary, in my opinion, it is impossible to compare results between different spawns and characters and with 100% accuracy say it's better to do this or better to do this. Accurate analysis can only apply to a particular character spawn. So I will be using, a level 569 EK hunting solo on Lower Rashamo with a certain set of equipment, certain set of skills, and based on that, I will be able to say whether it's better to use full def or full attack at that spawn with that character. And based on that, I can also make a little bit, some conclusions for other spawns, but we'll get to that. So let's take a quick look. First of all, here are my results from just standing in a box of 8 monsters. So the box was 4 Frazzlemores and 4 Silencers positioned in exactly the same position. So they were beaming, etc. also in the same positions. And I did this for 2 minutes, 120 seconds. Full attack on the left, full defense on the right. So you can see that the damage I dealt was 16,000 on full attack to 6,700 on full defense, which means that I lost 58% of my damage with the melee auto attack when using full defense. Now this also translates directly to a 58% reduction in leech, which is very important. If you've ever played EK, your melee leech is very, very important. And looking at the damage received, I went from 85,000 to about 80,000. It's approximately a 6% damage reduction, which is actually significant. I would say, looking at these numbers, just like this, minus 58% auto attack, minus 6% damage received, I think it's a reasonable trade-off just looking at those numbers. This isn't crazy. This is something like what I'd probably expect. However, this is pretty useless when it comes to real team hunting, right? Because you're doing loads of spells and your auto attacks only make up a relatively small portion of your overall damage you would expect. So let's take a quick look at the results when I hunted at the same spot with the same equipment, just with full attack versus full defense, but actually using spells, right? Actually using my Exile, Gran, Mass rotation. And let's take a look at the results here. So the damage dealt on full attack versus full defense is minus 8.5% overall. It's a pretty significant reduction, I would say. Damage received is only minus 3% here in this hunt. Again, this was only 10 minutes, so I'm not saying these are 100% accurate results, but they're probably relatively reliable. I mean, it's 250,000 damage. That's quite a lot overall. It's the margin of error is there, but it's probably relatively low. Experience per hour is about 5% lower on full defense, and interestingly, supplies used is plus 31%. And this is because you use a lot, you have a lot less leech, so use more potions, right, to heal and to up your mana. So looking at those results, it's not looking great for full defense, I would say, not looking great. But it's not as simple as that. Okay, so when we're talking about using full defense or full attack, what is the reason that we would ever use full defense? The only reason, and the question to ask is, did using full defense make the hunt easier? Okay, that is in principle the only reason you would want to use full defense. Obviously, using full attack will result in more damage, which will result in more experience. It will also result in more leech, which will result in less supplies used. So, of course, if the easiness of the hunt is not a factor, full attack is better. So you would only use full defense to make a hunt easier. So here is a question, looking at my solo results. Did using full defense make the hunt easier? And the answer is, surprisingly, no, it did not make the hunt easier at all. And here are some of the factors that contributed to this. When hunting in full attack, due to the increased leech, I used actually 0 potions in 10 minutes. So I use supreme potions, when I get to like 30% health, usually something like this. And I didn't have to use any when hunting in full attack. But in full defense, in a 10-minute hunt, I actually used 10 supreme health potions to stay alive because I was struggling so much to upkeep my health. Second reason, the lower melee damage made it more difficult to keep monsters at similar health levels. What this meant was that, when I used full attack, I would always attack the monster with the most health, and this meant that monsters kind of died at the same time, allowing me to quickly move on from one pack to the next. However, with the full defense, I ran into situations, even a few times in just a 10-minute hunt, when a monster was left over, and I was just kind of standing there awkwardly, just attacking it, trying to kill it off very quickly. And that kind of threw me off and wasted quite a few seconds, which actually resulted in lower quality of life. I mean, this felt bad. It just didn't feel particularly enjoyable. And it obviously resulted in lower XP per hour as well. Third point, I had to use more supplies due to the lower leech, which equals less profit. So in summary, using full defense, at least for this particular hunt, I keep repeating this, right? It's going to be different for different places, but we can sort of try and extrapolate the data. But on my character, on this particular spot, it made it more difficult. I had less leech and I had to use potions to keep myself alive. It made the hunt feel worse because of lower quality of life. I had lower experience per hour, and I had less profit because I had to use more supplies. So in this case, definitely not worth it. However, all of those above drawbacks and negatives that I just spoke about are not as important or noticeable when it comes to team hunts. Naturally, in team hunts, the EK makes a smaller portion of the overall damage. There's also druids and other vocations healing the EK, so less healing, less leech is also less noticeable. So it's a little bit different for team hunts. But let's get to it. Let's take a quick look at what my conclusions are based on this data and my experience. And I've been playing this game for 20 years, and obviously I haven't tested this, for 20 or 30 hours. So I'm going to draw conclusions from limited data, but relying on a lot of experience with the game. Okay, I hope you'll forgive me. And again, I will mention this for the third time before people jump up my throat. All of this does depend on the particular spot and the particular character due to so many factors to consider. However, considering the results I saw on Lower Rashomon, I feel very confident to say that it is never worth it to use full defense when solo hunting. I spent a few minutes trying to think about a scenario or a spot where a solo EK, it would make sense to use full defense, and I cannot think of a single place. So that's my summary for solo hunting. I'm more than happy to be proved wrong. If someone goes somewhere, they use full defense, and they present results where they think it's better to use it, I will eat my words, and I would love to see it. But based on my experiment and my experience with the game, I cannot think of a single place or a single case where it would be worth it. So let's take a quick look at what I think when it comes to team hunting. And again, like I mentioned earlier, we should consider this question: did using full defense make the hunt easier? So obviously we're going to have reduced EK damage and leech, but it makes up way lower percentage of the overall damage and healing when compared to a solo hunt. So the drawbacks in a team hunt are probably a little bit lower. However, the drawbacks are still there. Therefore, using full defense will still result in lower EXP and profit. When solo hunting, it might result in, -5%, -10%, and in a team hunt, it might result in -1%, -2%, but it still will be lower. You can't argue with this. You deal less damage, you will have lower experience per hour. So the question to ask is the increased mitigation and reduced damage taken under EK worth the lower experience and profit? And in my opinion, this is the conclusion. How I would advise people who ask me, is full defense the new way to play EK in team hunts? I would say for easy hunts, so what I consider easy hunts would be, for example, a group of level 500s hunting Buried Cathedral, or level 1000s hunting, library with full charms unlocked, maybe some attack praise, etc. Basically, comfortable hunting spots, people who've been hunting a certain spot for a while, they're over level, etc. For such cases, again, I am almost certain full defense on the EK is not going to be worth it. It's not going to make a noticeable difference to your hunt, and I would not recommend it. However, looking at the very last bullet point of this video, I do see cases where it would be worth it, or might be worth it at least. So very difficult hunts. So for example, if you are a group of level 400s and you want to, really push your limits, you want to go to library, you want to go to Soul War, you don't have any charms unlocked, I would want to test it. I would encourage you to test it, and I think this additional defense, so I'm expecting the EK will be taking maybe 3-4% less damage using full defense versus full attack. I think it might be worth it, but it is still going to be situational, and it will still depend on all those hundreds of factors that I mentioned earlier. It will depend on the healing of the druid and the magic level of the druid, the equipment that the EK has, the skills the EK has, etc. So it's not as simple as saying it's always worth it in such cases, never worth it in such cases. But in conclusion and summary, my findings are that if you're solo hunting EK, do not use full defense. If you're team hunting and you're comfortably hunting a spot, you're not at a risk of dying, don't use full defense. And if you're a hardcore player going for something really difficult, you might consider it. You should try it. It might just be worth it. But for majority of players, I probably still wouldn't recommend it. Okay, so that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.